They liked the balance that they had in race.
Casey Kane, we congratulate him, his third career pole.
It's all three Hendrick Motorsports in the front.
There's a few movers and shakers out there.
Carl Edwards free falling for a couple. To victory lane is Joey Logano.
Get the inside line on who's fast and who's last before setting your NASCAR fantasy race team lineup this weekend. This is the Inside Line on MRN.com. Presented by Hercules Tires. Now, here are your fantasy experts, Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
Could we be witnessing history in Miami this year? Well, we'll have to wait a couple more weeks, Robbie Mays, because Jimmie Johnson has a chance to do what many thought couldn't happen, and that's tie Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt Sr. He at least has a chance to do it.
He has a chance, and that's all you can ask for. And my question, well, first of all, you know, this is a great costume you've got on again today.
Thank you. I don't have any stains on it yet, though.
Under all that is, you know, whatever, a bag of Cheetos. Jimmie Johnson put it to him in Martinsville last week, and those guys, I mean, let's face it, Tyler, on this show all summer long, we said, what's wrong with the 48 car? What's wrong with the 48 car? And we get to chase time. There's nothing wrong with the 48 car. They're the best car in the garage right now, and they're going to Miami in 3 weeks with a chance to win a championship. Not Jimmy's best racetrack, but anytime those guys, Jimmie Johnson, Chad Knaus, they're up against something like that, they go and they perform. And I think they have a great chance to win the championship this year.
Well, the one thing that they have to look at, though, is they have never won at Homestead.
Correct.
They have, however, celebrated 6 times in Homestead. Correct. So it's a track they enjoy.
Yes. They
just have never won there. The question is, do you start him this week on your fantasy team? And I'll tell you right now, the answer is yes. This is his best racetrack by far in the chase, at least of recent memory. He's great at Martinsville over his career.
Sure.
But Jimmie Johnson going to Texas this weekend is looking for his 5th win in 7 races.
Yes.
At the Texas Motor Speedway. That's unbelievable numbers.
4 straight wins in the fall race at Texas, and as tough as that racetrack is, as hard as it is to get around there, that's pretty remarkable what he's been able to do. I've got him on my team. I'll go ahead and tell you right now. I've got him on my team.
And,
you should too.
And pretty much everybody else on this show today will most likely have Jimmie Johnson on their team. Coming up on the show, we have Rich Culbreth, unfortunately, will join us.
Who's also
all dressed up and ready to go. Yeah, he is dressed. He's dressed up, and which is a costume because he doesn't usually dress up nicely.
I know. This is nice.
Different.
This is a treat.
He'll come in here, walk in from his desk, which is right there, and he'll start bragging about how he's 4th in standings right now in the NASCAR Fantasy Live League. We'll go into more detail about Martinsville. We'll crunch the numbers on Texas and look to see who you must start heading in to the Lone Star State this weekend. Of course, our winners, I'll try to defeat The Rock, which has not been successful the past couple of weeks.
He's not going to.
So we'll see what happens. But this is the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires.
The Inside Line will return in just a moment.
O'Reilly. If it's time to replace your vehicle's headlights, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts See Better, Drive Safer sale for a twin pack of Sylvania Silver Star Ultra headlights and get a $15 O'Reilly gift card after mail-in rebate. See farther and more clearly with Silver Star headlights at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Motor Racing Network has always been your source for motorsports coverage when you couldn't be at the track. Now, never miss another minute of our breathtaking coverage with the MRN app, available on your iPhone or Android device. This free app delivers all the latest news, locates nearby MRN stations, streams your favorite programs, and is your home for live Sprint Cup practice and qualifying action. Search MRN in the App Store or on Google Play. It's the Motor Racing Network at your fingertips, and it's available for free right now.
MRN's Winged Nation, presented by Sage Fruit on MAV TV every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. and again at 12:30 p.m. Steve Post and Ashley Strimmy give you a full half hour of sprint car news and interviews with the biggest names from the world of outlaws, ASCS, All-Star Circuit of Champions, Pennsylvania, Knoxville, the West Coast, and all dirt tracks in between. MRN's Winged Nation on MAV TV, presented by Sage Fruit, Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. Eastern on MAV TV. Let's talk more fantasy racing on The Inside Line. Here's Robbie and Tyler.
Following his 4th place finish at Martinsville, Matt Kenseth was the best fantasy player last week at 157 points in the NASCAR Fantasy Live League. Truex a close 2nd, Johnson 3rd, Hamlin 4th, Keselowski 5th. Of course, if you watched the show last week, you're welcome. I'll just say it now. If you picked Jeff Gordon on your fantasy team, Robbie Mays, of course, had to argue with me and say that he wasn't ready to race at Martinsville and finish well, but he finished 6th.
I did not. I said, and I quote, I don't have enough money for Jeff Gordon.
No, you said, oh, he hasn't been with a team long enough this year, and I don't think he's going to do that well at Martinsville. And
no.
Kimmy comes on the show and says, well, Tony Stewart's going to be better than Jeff Gordon. Get that stuff out of here. Anyways, Rich Colbert is on the show, and just get it out of the way. Just where are you in fantasy standings right now?
Oh, I'm 4th, but I want to talk about Jeff Gordon. I want to talk about Jeff Gordon because I was kind of with Robbie.
You
on
are
this.
ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah, I was kind of with Robbie on this, but you talked me into it. I watched last week's show, which, by the way, it looks kind of bare after all the Halloween stuff being gone.
But Tyler's still in costume.
But I said, you know what? He's absolutely right. Jeff Gordon's numbers at Martinsville are astronomical. It'd be crazy not to start him. I was thinking that maybe we need to start the Chase guys because they've got that extra incentive to do well. Jeff Gordon is that's his last run, but I said, why not? So I worked with my team to get Jeff Gordon, to get Jeff Gordon on there. And I also, and let me say this about last week's show last week's race is that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had trouble during qualifying.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, and sometimes this works, sometimes it don't. But I started him because he started like 39th. Unfortunately, he got caught up in a wreck with like 20 laps into it and ended up finishing dead last. But I didn't lose a ton of points, and that's the thing. Now, if you had Carl Edwards on your team, who had a pretty decent qualifying run and then ended up finishing, well in the 30s, 36, you lost a ton of points.
Robbie, didn't you finish well last week though?
I didn't finish as well as I probably could have because I didn't have Kenseth. I didn't have all those laps led that he had last week. So.
Yeah. Where'd you finish though?
Better than you.
I believe he was like 80.
I finished pretty decently. So, you need to say your number because
I finished better than you.
So if I finished 145th, you probably finished what in the top 100?
I finished better than you.
He was like 80 something. I can't remember. Yeah.
Texas Motor Speedway.
You're bragging about it.
The last time we were at Texas Motor Speedway, Kyle Busch was your winner. He led 34 laps. Martin Truex Jr. led 141 laps, and Carl Edwards led 124 laps. I think that you factor that in going into this weekend, but with a combination of the last 3 mile-and-a-half racetracks we went to, would you say that would probably be a good key going to Texas this weekend?
I think Kyle Busch is definitely a good option this weekend, and if you go back and look at the last 3 mile-and-a-half racetracks we've run on, we've had 3 different winners. But I think also you have to keep in mind that Texas in the fall, for some reason, runs differently than Texas in the springtime does. I don't know why, but it just seems like this race plays out differently than the spring race does.
Kyle Busch has a 5.0 10-race average. I think it's better than an option to start Kyle Busch. I mean, yes, he won this past time we were there, but look at his last several finishes. He finished 4th the year before that. He was off because of an injury the year earlier in the spring of 2015, but prior to that, he had a 4th-place finish and a 3rd-place finish, and in the fall race of 2013 had a 13th place finish. But his numbers are they're great. In fact, as far as 10-race averages, he's got the best.
The only thing that worries me about Kyle Busch is the last 3 starts we've had at mile-and-a-half racetracks, he has led 0 laps.
Yeah.
At mile-and-a-half racetracks. I mean, he finished 5th, which is good at Kansas, 6th at Charlotte, and 8th in Chicago. I will take that, but when you go to a mile-and-a-half racetrack, you need a Truex who led tons of laps the time we were in Texas the last time. You need a Jimmy Johnson who led 118 laps in Chicago. He led 155 laps in Charlotte, and he finished 4th in Kansas. You need guys like that. So let's run down our teams. Let's start with our number 1 seed. Rich, when you go into Texas this weekend, who's your number 1 pick?
No, it's Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson all the way. As you mentioned at the beginning of the show, winning 5 of the last 7 races there. I mean, it's hard not to start Jimmy Johnson. And as you just mentioned, the laps that he led at Chicagoland, the laps that he led at Charlotte, those mile-and-a-half tracks. Now that we're in the chase, these guys are this is the team to beat.
And they have nothing to lose right now. They have absolutely nothing to lose. They're in the championship race. They're going to Miami. They're one of the 4 drivers. And if they go and win this weekend, guys, not only do they get another win and cement the momentum that they've had going since the chase started, but they could potentially keep somebody else from going to the Final Four at Homestead Miami Speedway, like a Kyle Busch, like a Kevin Harvick or like a Joey Logano, guys who have been strong this year.
That's what I was about to say. Carl Edwards and Kevin Harvick, they're needing a win. Now, everyone's looking at Phoenix, that Kevin Harvick will probably win Phoenix, and he may well do that because he owns that track. But I don't think that Kevin Harvick is going to want to go to Phoenix and want to have to win that race. Because anything can happen. We've seen mechanical failures. Heck, we saw Kevin Harvick have mechanical failures at Charlotte. So it can happen, and it can happen at some of these tracks that you just assume he – and I tell you, the luck is going to run out for Kevin Harvick. I mean, yes, he had to win at Dover last year to get into the chase. He did that. He had to win earlier this year to make the next round. So Kevin Harvick, that luck's going to run out at some point, and he's got a hole, as well as Carl Edwards, to dig out of after Martinsville.
All right, so Jimmy Johnson is an easy pick for all of us heading into Texas this weekend.
You're crazy not to have him on your team.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I pictured Johnson racing around Martinsville yesterday with a Toyota emblem and in the back of his mind, thinking, if I win this race, there's going to be one Toyota at least not in Homestead.
Right.
And it's been all Toyota all year long, and it's like, just putting it to him. And then, of course, if he wins this weekend, that could potentially, stir up the pot here as going to Phoenix, needing 3 guys trying to win a race, which is unreal. So our number 2 picks, Robbie Mays, who do you got?
I've got Kevin Harvick, even though he struggled last week and he's got some work to do to make the Final Four. But Texas has been a track throughout his career, guys. It's been kind of up and down for him throughout his career. Right now, he's kind of up. 4 straight top 10 finishes and top 10 in 7 of the last 9 races here. He's never won at Texas, at least in the Sprint Cup Series. And in his entire career, in 27 starts, he's only led 116 laps. And most of those came about 2 years ago in the spring race when he started on the pole, and I think he led 96 of 334 laps that day.
Richard, do you have Harvick?
I have Harvick, too. I like, especially this team, whenever their back is against the wall, they perform. And, again, he's another guy that I won't say you would be crazy not to have him on your team because there's a couple other options out there that you can go with as far as your second pick. But I like Kevin Harvick over the other guys that I'm looking at right now.
Well, then you'd call me crazy because Harvick is not on my team. I look at the last 3 starts for Kevin Harvick at mile and a half racetracks. Yes, he led 74 laps at Kansas, won the race. He also blew up at Charlotte, and he also finished 20th in Chicago. 20th, he did not wreck in Chicago. He raced his way to a 20th place finish, so he was not all that great when we were in Chicago.
Where was he running when he had mechanical issues at Charlotte?
He was leading.
He
led 12 laps.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was leading. Okay, well, the mechanical stuff's going to happen occasionally.
Yeah, I think it was an ECU unit that blew up and not an engine. So
something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So keep that in mind that he was leading when he had mechanical issues at Charlotte, which is a mirror of Texas.
He was at his doorstep by the time it was halfway to the race, probably. But no, I don't have Kevin Harvick on my team, and I think you have to put him on your team in Phoenix looking ahead. I don't think you have to have him this weekend because I think there are guys who are better at Texas right now, and one of those guys is Carl Edwards. Like I said, he led tons of laps when we were here the last time. He's been great at mile and a half racetracks this year. He led 124 laps when we were in Texas. 15th at Chicago, 12th at Charlotte. He led 61 laps at Kansas. He finished 2nd. I think Carl Edwards is nearing must-start territory. There's a lot of guys who are must-start territory, so you're not going to be able to afford all of them.
Must win.
Or,
right.
Must start on your fantasy team.
Oh,
that's
right,
what I mean.
Yeah.
So, and Truex is teetering on that as well. I can't afford him. So there are 6 or 7 guys that are going to be good this weekend that you probably can't go wrong with, and Carl Edwards is on my team.
Yeah, I like the Carl Edwards pick. I've also got him on my team this week. He was 7th in the spring at Texas. He was 2nd in the spring race at Phoenix too. Currently 32 points out of the cutoff for the championship. I think they have to go and throw it, everything they've got up against the wall this week to try to make the Final Four, and I think this is the best opportunity for them to win. They cannot go to Phoenix thinking we can win at Phoenix. There are just too many other guys that are better at Phoenix than Carl Edwards.
All right, let's finish our top 3 picks here, and then we'll take a break. My 3rd pick on my fantasy team this week, who do I have? I don't even know. So I have Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, and Kyle Busch is on my team, 5th, 6th, and 8th. So that's my fantasy team going into, my top 3 going into Texas weekend.
Yeah, I've got Kyle Busch as well. As we mentioned a while ago, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, my top 3 teams. And as far as some of your lower price guys, Casey Mears and Landon Castle.
And in your top 3, you can't go wrong with Chase Elliott. 3rd at Chicago, led 75 laps. He led 103 laps at Charlotte, though he finished 33rd and got in a wreck. But he has been very, very good at mile-and-a-half racetracks, leading tons of laps recently. Truex led 141 laps, like you said, at Texas. He's been good at mile-and-a-half racetracks, too. So those are the couple that I had that you can't go wrong with this weekend. All right? Let's finish our fantasy teams after the break. This is the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires.
Got a question or opinion about your fantasy lineup? Give us a call at 8444-ASK-MRN, and it may get used on next week's show. The Inside Line will return in a moment.
O'Reilly.
When it comes to vehicle safety, having poor visibility is a risk not worth taking. Get set for this fall's weather by visiting your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store during the See Better, Drive Safer sale. You'll find deals on name brand headlights, wiper blades, and everything you need to see better and drive safer. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
In order to maximize a vehicle's performance and efficiency, the proper adjustments need to be made based on the road ahead. That's true for both race car drivers on the track and for truck drivers hauling freight on the highway. But if your truck's equipped with the Detroit DT12 automated manual transmission with intelligent powertrain management, adjustments are made automatically based on GPS terrain mapping, maximizing performance and efficiency. Don't just want better business solutions, demand them. Learn more at demanddetroit.com.
Get all the reactions and latest word from the track immediately following each race weekend on MRN's Motorsports Monday with Woody Kane and Joey Meyer.
Johnny Sauter drives the number 21 Chevrolet Silverado.
I didn't know that necessarily we'd been first race of the year.
Log on to MRN.com every Monday at noon Eastern or stream the program from the MRN Media Center on demand. It's MRN Motorsports Monday, only on the Motor Racing Network. We now return to the Inside Line with Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
Tonight, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series will race in the Striping Technology 350 from Texas Motor Speedway. That'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, only on the Motor Racing Network. You can hear it on your affiliate station in your local area or on MRN.com.
And on the free MRN app.
And yes, that too. We are currently talking about Texas right now in our fantasy teams. We've already given our first 3 picks, and we can recap those as we continue going down on our fantasy team. I have Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, who has been great at Texas, the best numbers in Texas over, the last 10 races. So that's my top 3. Robbie Mays, who's your top 3?
I've got Jimmy Johnson, I've got Kevin Harvick, and I've also got Carl Edwards.
All right, and Rich?
I've got Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, and Kevin Harvick.
Before we move on to our bottom 2 picks, neither one of us picked Joey Logano, who's been strong on mile-and-a-half racetracks. None of us picked Brad Keselowski, who's been strong on mile-and-a-half racetracks. Is this down to Chevrolets and Toyotas for the championship?
I don't think so. I think Joey Logano has a great shot. I think he's good at Phoenix. I think he's run well at Texas. In fact, he's won in the last 5 races, right? Does he have a win at Texas in the last 5 races? Maybe
yes, he does. He does. But here's the thing about Joey Logano is that he's not done well in the fall race. He did win in the spring of 2014, then finished 12th that fall race. The next year he finished 4th in the spring, but then he finished 40th in the fall race. And then this past spring race he finished 3rd. So if the trend continues, he's probably going to get a 10th or lower.
I think he's learned from what happened last year. I think he's probably been the quietest in the chase so far. Wouldn't you say? I mean, just top 10 in it, top 10s. That's all you really need to move on, and he's been quiet.
The first 2 rounds, you can top 10 everybody else and make
he
it
won
to
at
the next
Talladega
round.
too.
But now, we're in the round of 8. We're not down to, like 8 or 12. We're eliminating 4 drivers. We're only going to have 4 left. This is the time of year, guys, where you have to go out and you can't be quiet anymore. You have to go and run up front and lead laps and win races. And I'm just curious, is Joey Logano even still a threat to make it to the Final Four? I still think he is, but none of us have him on our teams this week.
Well, because I need someone who's going to lead a lot of laps this weekend at Texas, and I don't think Logano can do that.
Well, I think we're looking at your top 3, and same thing with mine and same thing with Robbie's, is these are all guys that are very content leading races. You got some guys that, they like I won't say Matt Kenseth because he's not a very good example because he went out and led 140 laps this past weekend at Martinsville.
And he led 116 laps at Kansas as well.
Right, exactly. So maybe he's not a good example, but then you've got guys that are just content with just getting that solid finish and maybe not leading a ton of laps. I want a guy, especially for your fantasy team, to lead as many laps and wants to stay at the front as long as possible. Kyle Busch is that guy. Kevin Harvick's that guy, and Jimmy Johnson's that guy.
Yep,
and Joey is. And I'm not saying Joey's not. Joey
and
is
Truex.
as well, and Truex.
Truex.
Yeah. So there's so many options that you can go with this weekend. It's really hard to pick.
All right, let's run down our our bottom 2 picks. I have Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on my team, 19th at Kansas, 20th in Charlotte, 25th in Chicago. He'll probably get you a top 25, top 30. And then I have Michael Annett. He was 24th at Charlotte, which is a great run for Michael Annett. But that's how I round out my team. What about you?
I'm going back to A.J. Allmendinger, who hasn't been great here over the years at Texas, but 3 straight top 10 finishes, 8th at Kansas, 10th at Talladega, and also 10th last week at Martinsville. This is a guy, and I got to talk to A.J. several times at Martinsville last weekend. He's confident right now. He is up on the wheel. He's been great. That team is strong right now. They're talking about expanding to a 2-car operation in 2017. I think those guys are legit right now. I think they're good for another top 15, maybe a top 10 at Texas. And David Reagan, former pole sitter at Texas Motor Speedway, had a great start to last weekend in Martinsville until mechanical problems in the race.
He's $16. Talking about A.J. Allmendinger. I can't afford him. I mean, and
he's expensive, but he's been great, though.
He has, but how long can he keep this up? I mean, when was the last time A.J. Allmendinger had 4 top 10s in a row?
I don't think it's ever happened.
You got to think it's like, okay, the bottom's going to fall out at some point. But as far as $16, though, it's a little too expensive with the top name guys that I've got. I can't afford A.J. Allmendinger. So Casey Mears isn't a bad option. He's $8.50. His last 4 finishes at Texas, 23rd, 26th, 27th, and an 18th. So it's a solid 25th run you should expect out of Casey Mears.
And then your last pick?
Would be Landon Castle.
All right.
Landon Castle's pretty much the same way. You may get a top 30, maybe 28, 29th around a Landon Castle.
All right, up against the break, we'll recap our teams, pick our winners next. This is the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires.
Tyler and Robbie will be right back to talk more fantasy racing here on the Inside Line.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
Visit Tom Johnson Camping World in Concord for all your race week needs. Race into savings now and save big on over 400 units in stock. America's #1 RV and outdoor retailer has something for everyone. Get race season started at your local NASCAR headquarters with travel trailers starting at only $109 per month. Don't let these savings pass you by. Meet us at Tom Johnson Camping World and save big on your dream RV. STK number 1262508, payments to qualified buyers with approved credit subject to lender terms based on statistical surveys 2015. See dealer for full offer details and disclaimers. Offers expire December 30th, 2016.
Do you need help with moving your equipment? Industry-leading companies do, and they trust Housby Transport to move their internal equipment promptly and professionally. At Housby Transport, we pride ourselves on efficiency, timeliness, and saving our customers money. With our team of logistics managers always ready to assist you in any way possible. Any size, any type, anywhere. Housby Transport is ready to move. For more information and to obtain a quote, visit Housby.com. Housby, an official sponsor of NASCAR for over 40 years.
Now it's back to Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett on the Inside Line.
Welcome back to the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires. I'm Robbie Mays. He's Rich Colbreth. And Rich, it's so nice to see you this week.
It's wonderful seeing you guys. it's always great
so
being on
fun
the show.
Having you on our show.
Oh.
At least he shaved for us.
And then there's Tyler. And speaking of that, it's time to play our favorite game of the week, Under a Rock or Tyler.
Do you live your life up under a rock, or are you Tyler Burnett?
That's awesome.
All right.
That's catchy.
Man.
Tyler, you're so far behind in this deal.
No, I'm not. I'm probably like 500.
No, you're not.
No.
Okay, this week we have it's a little extra help. We have a
Is it
photo.
a hard one, like
no,
always?
No, we have a photo from a movie, and we also have an audio clip from that said movie. tell us the name of the movie or either of the two people in this photo. So, Daryl, let's cue it up and let's play Under a Rock or Tyler.
Oh, man.
No,
What
we'll
a-
jump. Like hell we will. No, it'll be okay.
It's a very popular
Water's
movie.
deep enough we don't get squished to death.
There
You'll
are
never
clues
follow.
around
How
this
do you
office.
know? Would you make a jump like that you didn't have to? I have to, and I'm not gonna. Well, we got to, otherwise we're dead. We got to. Nope. Get away from me. Why? I want to fight him. All right, I'll jump first. Nope. Then you jump first. No, I said. What's the matter with you? I can't swim. Why, are you crazy? The fall will probably kill you.
Wow.
Either of those two actors, you can identify the audio clip, the movie. What is it?
I have no idea. Let me just take a guess. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Is that not right?
Oh, God.
Let me take one more guess.
Yeah, there you
go. Indiana Jones.
It's the same thing.
That's the same thing, right?
That was a good throw.
What is it?
That is Paul Newman, Robert Redford in 1969's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
I never heard of that
It's-
movie.
There is a movie poster right there 20 feet away from
Alexa is a massive fan
I've never
of that movie.
I've never heard of that movie in my entire life.
You know,
you. Yes.
We were over at the Rick Hendrick. I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but the Christmas party that we had over at Hendrick Motorsports.
Yeah.
There's a museum that
Yeah.
Rick Hendrick has over there, and there is a poster of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yeah.
Signed by Paul Newman and Robert Redford.
I don't know either
Absolutely
one of
the
those
coolest,
actors either.
coolest thing to ever have.
Rango.
Yep.
Rango.
Oh, hey. All right.
Is that bad that I don't know that movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Greg Biffle, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Chris Buescher, and then Jimmy Johnson is his winner. So the 16, the 24, the 18, the 48, Chris Buescher, and Jimmy Johnson. All right, your picks to win this weekend.
Jimmy Johnson. Why not? You said 5 wins in the last 7 starts. Why not?
All right, you?
Jimmy Johnson.
Seriously, are we just going to go all the way across the board with Jimmy Johnson? I'm not.
You're crazy if you don't.
It'll make it easier for me to do the graphics if you do.
I'm not. I'm picking Kyle Busch to win this weekend.
Okay.
Just to be different.
All right.
Brian Nelson, our producer, says the 22 of Joey Logano is going to win.
I still think is a good option.
Look,
Truex, Chase Elliott, I don't care. They're all going to be
I was
good.
about to say they're all going to be good, and Jimmy Johnson is a safe bet, and right at this point, being fourth in the points, I'm going to go with the most safest bet, and Jimmy Johnson is that.
All right, 2 races remaining until the final round in Homestead, Texas, and Phoenix. We'll see what happens. Tonight, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series racing and the Striping Technology 350 from Texas Motor Speedway. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Final thoughts, Rich. Thanks for being on the show this week.
It's been great. It's been a great year.
Yeah.
It's been a great year.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
for you in fantasy. Right?
Hey, I'm hoping to win this thing. 153 points out of first place. Hope to do it.
You didn't brag at all today with your 4th place finish. Anyways, we'll talk to you next week as we head to the Phoenix International Raceway. Hopefully you do well this weekend at Texas. For all of us here, Daryl Smith, our producer. This is Robbie Mays, Rich Culbreth. I'm Tyler Burnett. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll talk to you next week here on The Inside Line.
You've been listening to The Inside Line, presented by Hercules Tires. Stream us every Friday on MotorRacingNetwork.com or on the MRN app. The Inside Line is also available on demand at the MRN.com Media Center, or download it through iTunes or Stitcher. The Inside Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network.